Okay, so this is literally just a video of a small scale grain trial in northern BC. I am just going to go over every grain that I have with videos so that I have information later on in the winter when I'm not too busy to write everything down. If that's not what you're here for, there'll be animal videos later. Okay. Okay, first some very general information. I pre-soaked most of the seed for a day or two before I planted it. I am going to be going in order from earliest planted to latest planted. I don't have the dates of planting here right now. They were definitely in April. No, May. They were in May. This site has aspen roots in it. But it also had fresh compost on it either 1 or 2 years ago, depending on where on the site we are. So it's fairly rich, but kind of dry. Not only is it south-facing, that's south, there's a south-facing slope, so it gets really a lot of heat. But some shade because of the aspens in the afternoon. But yeah, it's dry because the aspen roots also steal the moisture, but they have not managed to get all of the food out of the soil yet. All of this grain was interplanted with poppies. I put the poppy seeds down when the grain was a couple inches tall. And I weed very intermittently. It's not really a big deal for me. So, let's start here. The first one is Akmolinka wheat. It's about the same height as everything else, which is about 1 meter. It's a little bit uneven. You can see it's done flowering. Shoot. I just came out here to do this and my brain is kicking out already. No awns. Seems like it's doing pretty well. I don't see any particular insect issues on the leaves, anything like that. Next, Bishop. Bishop is the tallest by just a hair. It's 1.2 meters. Again, there's a bit of a differentiation here. Some of it is shorter, some of it's taller. So it's the tallest that's 1.2 meters. And again, no awns. If I compare it to Akmolinka, the heads are a little bit larger and the seeds are a little bit larger. Looks good. Next is Einkorn. This is, blood or something from Prairie Harvest Seeds. It was listed as the easiest threshing einkorn. So it's considerably shorter. That's probably closer to 0.7 meters ish. Again, this one's particularly uneven in height. So you can see there are some very short heads in there and some taller heads. So the tallest is maybe 0.7. It's beautiful. 2 rows, very short bombs. The ear is maybe just shy of 2 inches long on most of them. And it's well done flowering. The previous two still had occasional little flowers left on them, but I don't see any on here. Next up is something with an on, finally. Blue Durum wheat. So, we're back up to maybe 1.1 meters tall. Lots of really, actually both the Einkorn and this have lots of very visible tillering going on down here. Has this beautiful little jog, zigzag on the stem. Slightly shorter heads than the previous two onless wheats. We're looking at, oh, that's very roughly what, like 2.5 inches. And a couple of them did a weird thing. This did this. This did this. And there's another one back here that did something similar. So where they didn't unfold all the way. I don't know if that could be a water issue. I don't know. I don't see that in any of the other ones. Okay, the next wheat is the shortest one that I have, I think. Blue Tinge Ethiopian. And this one is, 0.6, 0.5. There are a couple taller, let's see if I can capture this, a couple taller pieces to the right, but actually those have, oh no, a lot of these have this little wave. I was going to say it might be from the wheat next door, but much shorter. The flowers are well dried out on there. I actually don't know how to tell if they're filling out or not. It's my first time successfully growing wheat. But yeah, a lot shorter, sturdy plants. And over here, the next one is, I believe, Ceres. Yes. So this is Ceres wheat. It's a 0.8, 0.7, right in there. Meters tall. Again, like shorter, a little bit in this outside row, but not quite as much as the Ethiopian wheat back there. Flowers are done. Looks good. There's a very subtle curve still to the stem. It's a little bit bluer than some of the other wheats. Over here, I believe, was this Marquis? Marquis? Anyhow, I think this is one of the last ones to head up. It has flowers on it still. They're drying up, but they're visible. Onless. Fairly tall. We're almost level with those first two. I'm going to call that 1.1 meters. I think sorry to jump back here, the Ceres did some nice tillering. This one did some okay tillering. This one, unfortunately, the tag has been kind of chewed on. W. Does that say wheat? These are in alphabetical order. just for this very reason. So I'm going to have to look up what this one is. But it has an on, or it has ons. It's, again, actually fairly regular. I didn't have very many seeds of this one, so I planted it much more sparsely than the other ones, which is why it's growing more sparsely. Did some very serious tillering though, so that's nice of it. But I'm still, like, one plant, let's see. Oh, that's on the edge, and the edge ones are not happy. This one plant is only getting one head still. What about this one? Yeah, I'm still only getting like one head per. So hopefully I can increase my seed. Starting to get some grasshoppers, so hopefully they will eat like the grass and not my grain. We'll see. Next up, Pembina. It's a little bit shorter. We're probably at about a meter there, a meter tall. Onless. Still has hints of flowers, so it was one of the later flowerers. These heads feel nice and full compared to the other ones. I don't know. We'll see if that translates into a harvest difference or not. And over here is Prelude, which was the first one to head up from Prairie Garden Seeds again. Yeah, that feels nice and full. It's starting to turn a little bit. The seeds are starting to turn color a little bit. And that one's 1.1 meter, we're going to say. So I'm not sure. I've watered these. We had an unprecedented heat wave where it hit almost 40 degrees for a couple days, but normally our temperatures are much lower than that. I've done some watering. I think I've watered this patch 3 times this year, despite the fact that it's quite dry from the aspen. Yeah, if I go in, you can see it's just sand. So I'll water it again a couple times. I would like to get seed off this patch. This was meant to be a variety trial for my conditions, but 40 degrees is not standard for my condition. Yeah, that's just, it's not as dense, or doesn't feel as full. I hope it's not a water thing. Maybe it's a pollination thing. I don't know. Anyhow, so it has been watered a couple times. My goal was to see if something would ripen within our very short cool season, and then we did not get a short cool season. I have some more over here. Okay, let's go over here. Okay, we have the other green patch. It's actually only maybe 30 feet away, 20 feet away from the other green patch. It's shadier, just because of the way everything is set up. It was planted a couple days later, not much later, and it's been getting more water. It's been watered maybe 5 times to the 3 that the other one got. This edge of it is much closer to this aspen. So this edge particularly, I'm expecting to be a lot drier. Over there, that's going to be a lot sunnier. And it is shadier here. So the conditions aren't exactly the same. A couple days later, more interference, more shade, more plant interference. But let's go through this. We're doing this in order of planting. So I started doing this a couple days after I finished planting that previous bed. Here we go. Triticale. That's a... Oh, it's fuzzy. Oh, it's a hybrid of, I believe, rye and wheat. So it ends here. It's a very small patch. I did not have many seeds, and I really want these seeds to increase. We're looking at about 0.5, 0.6 meters. It's very uneven. So depending where I draw that line for height, it's definitely got fuzz on it. I can feel, it feels like there's something in there, but it's not as full as the last chew. Next, we have, oh look, it's an aspen invading. Okay. Kamut. So, triticale, kamut here. Oh, that's soft. They're so soft. And it has, the awns are kind of crimped just like the stem. It's, call that 0.7 meters tall. It has another one of these weird head things, but I don't know, don't know what that is. And not super even, but there's a good first rank of tall. I don't see any flowers on it, so hopefully it's pollinated by now. Next up is, what are you? Excelsior barley. So yeah, the previous one was all wheats. This is wheat and barley mixed. Ooh, those are really Velcro-y awns. Like they're gonna cut me if I do too much with them. Shorter heads here. Again, we're down to like an inch and a bit. Very sturdy plant. Did I call this 0.6? 0.7, but very uniform height on this one. To kind of interrupt my grain trial, this is a mix of peas and bachelor buttons, soup peas, that I was thinking about intermixing with my grain. Saint Hubert, a yellow soup pea, I believe. Nice and compact, very self-sufficient. Like it doesn't need, even garden peas, even the short bush ones seem to need something to climb on, and these really look like they would do well as an undercrop of grain. So I'm hoping that I get some seed off of that before frost, and if I don't, then, well, during a heat wave, if I haven't got seed by frost, that's just not suitable for my area. We're going to skip this for just a minute because we're going in order of planting. And then over here, oh, I will do that in a minute. Over here, we have the other side of this patch. What have we got? Reward. This is reward wheat. It's honestly in one of the worst spots, but it still managed to make it to like 0.8, 0.9 of a meter. It's finished flowering only recently, but it also does get a lot of shade, so maybe we're not as indicative as we might be. I've seen when I watered, some of this got lodged, knocked over, and then came right back up. So I'm going to say it's pretty sturdy, even though it's growing in the shade. Next one here, you can see there's no no heading on this yet. What's going on? Rivet. Oh, okay, it is starting. It is starting. Look, So these have like really atypical looking heads. This looks weird. Because the heads are kind of branched. I'm super excited about this one. I'm kind of sad that it's not doing anything yet. Like, should I water it more? I want it to do something, even though this is a variety trial and I'm supposed to be seeing what it actually does, not influencing it. Okay, so that's Rivet. It's currently 0.5 meters and no heads. The only one that's not heading up yet, I think. Next, Rouge de Bordeaux. So my understanding is that this is a bit of a land race, that it's genetically variable. It's not as consistent as some of the other ones. It's definitely got a lot of different heights in here. If I'm measuring to right here, we're going to call that 0.6 high, 0.6 of a meter. This one has definitely lodged when watering. The sprinkler head is right here. It fell over, it came right back up. I know it is prone to lodging, but we seem to be doing okay right now. There is a little bit of a weird thing going on with this, like a couple heads that just look weird. And there may be less consistent heights or lengths than most of the other wheats that we've looked at, or most of the other grains, for that matter. Wait, did I get mixed up? I've got mixed up, sorry. Rivet, Rouge de Bordeaux is here. So there's actually, Rivet was just starting to head. It's just starting. And then Rouge de Bordeaux here is not heading at all. So I conflated this patch. So, looks like I will get something from the Rivet, because well, hopefully it's starting to head. It doesn't look like I'll get anything from the Rouge de Bordeaux. Now the next one after this that I was looking at, that I said had kind of inconsistent heads, did I say 0.7? 0.6. That one is White Sonora. Kind of excited about that, actually. Well, I'm excited about all of these. Who am I kidding? It has a couple of these kind of odd heads going on, but feels like it's filling out nicely. I think that one might be Motherland. I don't know. Doesn't matter. White Sonora. It's on its way. Next, Hordeum nigrinudum, barley. So, as the name would suggest, it is a black barley. Oh, you can really feel the difference in the awns. They're just so, barley has awns that are so, I feel like they would cut you if you handled them backwards. This has some charming little frizz. Another one of these heads that misfired. I'm going to look up what does that. It's, we're going to call that 0.6, I believe. It's the same height as the barley on the other side there. I really like the two rows of the heads. Heads are a little bit shorter. Looks good. And then we did these peas. Now we're going to come back here. This wheat on the end was planted about a week later than everything else. It's A.C. Andrews. I stole the seed out of, I got wheat from a grain CSA. And just used some of it. It was going to be for flour. And it's very erratic. Like it's heading up. Actually, it's heading up more today than it was yesterday. So it's growing fast. I did water it a bunch last night. I don't think it's floured yet. and I planted it much more densely. So again, it's not super representative, but it's doing okay. It's short. It's 0.6, 0.5, 0.5. And then over here, this is Marquis from that same grain CSA. So it's from a different source of seed. The previous one was from Prairie Garden Seed. And you can see it's just starting to head up. But it's much shorter than the other one. It's, oh gosh, 0.5 meters high. It was also planted much more densely. Very interesting to see how much difference there is between, like, this is planted 2 weeks later than the previous one, and much more densely and in a, you know, shadier, drier spot. And it's responding so differently. So that's interesting. It's a good kind of control, I guess, for these two patches. Okay, we're going to go to the other ones, which are just down there. Okay, this is the last patch of grain. There are only 3 different kinds of barley in here. This is much hotter and drier than that, and about the same as the first patch we looked at. And this was planted last of everything, but it's also, this is probably the hottest spot. So on the end here, we have, what are you? Arabian Blue. I think that's from Salt Spring Seeds. Another one of these dried up, frizzy. Anyhow, it's all the barley. It's the same height. Did I call this? Maybe this is a tiny, like a smidge shorter. Did I call this 0.6? This is 0.6. It's planted later. Coming along, heading up. Heads are, again, kind of short. But the heads of all of the barley here is pretty short. This one next to it is purple Dolma barley. I believe this is a land race from the Experimental Farm Network. It's quite uniform. Again, we're at 0.6 compared to the previous one. Heading up nicely. Nice full heads. Not much to say about that, I guess. The barleys are all very similar, whereas the wheats are showing a lot of differentiation. I think that's interesting. Over here we have Faust from Salt Spring Seeds. It's a non-ond barley, and these are all hull-less barleys. Oh, that feels so neat. Okay. I can't really tell what's going on with the flowering on this because the hull-lessness, it has such a weird feel to it. But I do think it finished flowering a bit. This didn't germinate as well. You can see it's pretty sparse. I did plant it a little bit more sparsely, but I did not plant it that much more sparsely. However, you can see that it did tiller quite well. So that's from a single seed there. And I'm getting 5 heads, 4.5 heads, the little half one down there. So that's nice. I mean, there's this piece here where there's nothing came up. But that's what we get. Over here, oh no, you're so dry. Oh no, I need to water you. Okay. This is Gaspe corn, which is a very short Quebecois corn from like far eastern Canada. It grows about knee-high total. It is currently 35 centimeters tall. I haven't seen it this dry before. I'm gonna have to hook it up with some water. And it is doing some tillering as well. I planted 2 seeds per hole, so keep that in mind when you're looking here. But it's doing a little bit of tillering. There's one, oh, can you see there? One pollen, oh, I don't actually know the name. Pollen is starting to come out the center here. There were 2 silks that I saw the other day before any pollen had come out at all, so I couldn't pollinate them. But I'm going to be hand pollinating what I can. Last year I tried planting these. It was the coldest year on record, or pretty close. And I planted them a foot apart. They got maybe this tall, and at a foot apart they didn't pollinate at all. Maybe even 18 inches apart. Oh, there's a little more of the, I know the silk, I don't know what you call it. Anyhow, they're starting to go. And if we go up over here in a less sunny spot, we have some non-dry Gaspe. So I had some extra seed. I just came across and planted it in a little patch here. And you can see it's very uneven, but we do have, it's thinking about producing some pollen there. This one produced a silk, but it's done, but it's not producing pollen. Like, this is a weird plant. And they're all a little bit weird. And again, 2 seeds per hole. So we're getting some fairly intense tillering. And well, not fairly intense. I'm really noticeable to me, because it's the plant doesn't come up and then put it on a side shoot. It's just growing in a clump, even though there is not a clump of seeds there. And so I'm hoping I get some seed from this for next year. I'm going to water the set right now. Gaspe corn. We're going to go up to the field and look at my other corns. Actually, okay, this is very sad. I planted Cascade ruby gold corn here. This is my flint corn area. My other area, quite a distance away, is my flower corn. And I planted this before I planted the Gaspe, so it was pre-soaked. All of the seeds were pre-soaked. You can barely even see the corn in here. They're just like little, you know, like 15 centimeters high, if that. I think that this bed has a lot more root competition than I thought, and I think it's shadier than I thought. You can see the aspens are really like coming up. So I'm gonna try this corn in a different location next year and just say that this is probably a site issue. But yeah, no Cascade Ruby Gold this year. It is a fail. Absolutely. Okay, let's go up to the hill. Oh, one thing I note from this quick look over is that obviously grain is much less susceptible to drought stress than corn is. We normally have some rain through the season, so that's not necessarily as big a deal here as it is maybe in some places, but that's very noteworthy to me right now. Even the peas seem to be doing better than the Gaspe corn there. Okay, this is my last patch of grain, and it's all corn. I needed to be far away to put in my flower corn. I didn't want cross-pollination, or I wanted to minimize cross-pollination. So I'm trying 2 or 3 flower corns this year, depending on how you want to count it. The different patches are differentiated by these boards. You can see that I did not have a level, or the beds aren't square. This corn is planted 1 foot apart in a grid pattern, single seeds, whereas the Gaspe was planted 2 to a hole. So when you see something like this, it is tillering. It is not multiple seeds in the hole. So this is lavender parching seed from, was it Snake River? Maybe? Lavender parching corn. You can see we're going to call that 20 centimeters. It's actually more even than I thought it was in height. Let's get right down here so we can see. But it does get a little bit less tall off towards that side. It's tillering absolutely like mad. There are very few individual stems that don't have at least a second shoot coming up. It's not that tall. There are a couple pieces that are taller right here. So we will see what it does. I mean, we'll see what all of this does. Manna and lavender. The next one in the middle is starburst. Starburst Magic Manna, flower corn, parching corn by Carol Deppy. I'm seeing a variation in stem color here. You can see that some are more red, some are more white. I do not think they're influenced by shade or sun, because like in the very middle here, we have a white one next to a red one. And obviously they're just like far and away the tallest. Again, they're tillering a bunch, even in the middle, or especially in the middle. There's that one stalk that's a singleton. There's another singleton. But I'm going to say that more than half of them are tillering, definitely. There's such a range in height here on the edge. You can see, like, if we get down here, that's the edge. But, like, so the edge is same height as the lavender perching. So we're calling that like 20 centimeters. And in the center, we've got almost 50 centimeters. We definitely have 50 centimeters in the middle. Okay, so that's the Starburst Magic Manna. Next door to that, we have the regular Magic Manna corn. So it is not the Starburst one, and it comes from a different supplier as well. Shoot, I don't even want to make a guess. You can see again, the stuff up near the center is growing better. So maybe not the best variety trial. Like it's a patchy field. And again, like the Starburst Manna, we have some that are red and some that are green. And they're kind of mixed in without regard for sunlight or whatever. So I'm just going to imagine that's a function of the plant. And it's very variable in height. There are a couple here that are 50 centimeters, 45 centimeters in the center. And then on the edge here, again, we have still bigger than the lavender parching. So I'm going to call that is 25 centimeters. And there are little ones. Those are just 15. So it's hard to take an overall average, but there is quite a difference. Definitely the lavender parching is the shortest and has the most tillering. Definitely the starburst magic manna is the tallest. And I don't know if it's related to location or not. So that's my grain trial for this year. Trying out what'll give me the best starch calories. I am eager to revisit this every couple months until I see whether I get even a single grain of corn and whether I can get some grain harvested for my own seed for next year, and maybe even enough to taste. Hope you all have a good one there. And I would love to hear about what you're doing growing grain, honestly.